Hello VSG and WLS community. This is VSG Zac, and this is my weeks 34 and 35 post-surgical update. 2 weeks ago, I weighed in at 244 pounds even. Today, I weighed in at 238.8 pounds. That's a 2-week loss of 5.2 pounds, and total loss since my highest recorded weight in December of last year is a total of 162.5 pounds lost. That puts me just 18.8 pounds away from my initial weight loss goal of 220 pounds. I know now that 220 isn't going to be low enough for me, but it seemed like such a long ways away from my initial starting weight. But you know, it's only been a short 8 months since the surgery, so you know, here I am already. I'm just super excited. Before I forget, make sure I add to my jar. Getting pretty full. I should be able to fit at least 20 more pounds in there, hopefully. So over the last couple weeks, I mentioned last week that I wanted to make sure that I logged all my food. But over the past 2 weeks, I wasn't successful in logging my food intake. But I do feel as though I have eaten more over these past 2 weeks. And I also did focus on drinking more fluids, especially since I began ramping up my workouts. Speaking of which, this week and next week, my goal is to go to the gym at least 3 days per week, plus any other physical activity I can find, like hiking, biking, etc. You know, these days I can't stand being inside. I'm always wanting to be outside, so it's nice because, you know, before when it was just the least bit warm out, I was like sweating through my clothes, just completely miserable, always hot. Not so much anymore. I mean, yeah, I still sweat, but I mean, nothing like I used to, so it's so much nicer to be outside now. So last weekend, I went to a drag show for the first time in over a decade. I forgot how much fun those were. I had a real blast, and I can't wait for the next one. And yes, I am falling into VSG Kirk's favorite transfer addiction drag shows. So I met some new friends too, which is always a nice bonus. Earlier that day, Mike and I were out doing some errands and decided to stop in for lunch at a restaurant called Five Guys Burgers and Fries. I think they're a national chain. But they pretty much sold hamburgers and french fries. So I got a small hamburger, and of which I can only eat like a third of it, so Mike enjoyed the rest of that. That's one thing Mike really enjoys about eating out with me now, because you know I'm not able to finish even half of whatever I get, and so he's usually, you know, very happy, so he can try new things too. But I came to two very important realizations during that meal. I was explaining that to Mike at the restaurant. I absolutely, positively hate bread now. I mean, I had trouble consuming bread, you know, earlier on, but I kind of started getting, you know, starting to be able to eat a little bit of it. But, you know, it doesn't matter how much I try or how little I try. It makes me nauseated, you know, and I hate that feeling. So, you know, from this point forward, nothing on a bun is the least bit appetizing to me. Which, you know, this isn't a bad thing because I don't need to be eating bread anyway. It's just nice to know that I actually have an aversion to it, and it'll keep me away from eating it. The second important realization involves how I enter a restaurant. Now, when I was younger, well, I guess I was younger, but when I was larger, man, this 44 years old just seems old. Older. Anyway, when I was larger, you know, I would worry about being able to fit into the available seating wherever we went, especially booths. I'd also make a point not to make eye contact with people when I walked in. I pretty much kept my eyes to the ground. Actually, that was pretty much the case no matter where I was. I just really averted eye contact wherever I went, focused on the ground, didn't look up. But there was one instance in particular that I remember, because it was really humiliating. Mike and I used to frequent a restaurant called J. Alexander's. I think it's also like a national chain, but it's like a more I'd say upscale steakhouse, but it's pretty good. Actually, we both love their food, and I got to the point where I knew that if we were going to eat there, I was going to have to be seated in one of the limited number of tables they had, because there were booths everywhere, but there were only a small number of of tables available that weren't like really huge for large groups. So we went one day, and again, this is while it was pretty big, and apparently all the tables had been seated just before we arrived, and we were told it'd be like a 90-minute wait, and we were both really hungry. So I'm not sure what happened. When they said that, I realized that it's because of me that Mike can't enjoy the meal he wanted to have, because I'm too fat to eat at this restaurant. And I could feel my eyes welling up with tears. I did my best to, again, avert eye contact on the way out, because I was just trying to get out of the restaurant. I just wanted out of that restaurant and get to my car. We made it to the car. I didn't say a word all the way home. I could feel the tears just running down my face, and I was just so humiliated. I was so mad. I was so angry, and I went home and went to bed and cried for a couple hours and woke up, and it wasn't enough for me to really make a change at that point. It hurt. It was just I really hate thinking about it, because it seems so unnecessary. But anyway, I digress. So like the reason I brought that up is because, again, I would worry about being able to fit into the booths or the seating that was available at the restaurant. And I know this is going to sound really strange and really stupid, but maybe other people think the same when they're really, really large. When I walk into a restaurant, I worry about, I didn't want anybody to notice me. I wanted to kind of just blend in and no one paid me any attention, because in my mind, the other people in the restaurant were saying to themselves, gee, do you really need to be eating out? Shouldn't you be on a treadmill or something? Now, I know that sounds silly, but that was the inner dialogue I was projecting onto other people. So I guess that's really how I was feeling about myself. But it made me a miserable person. I was really a miserable person. So here's what's different. First, I don't worry about being able to fit into the seating. Wherever we go, I know I'm not going to have a problem. And that is an awesome feeling. Secondly, instead of imagining all those negative comments coming from other people, I now walk into a restaurant with a smile on my face, and I kind of look around to see if anyone's checking me out. So I won't share what I think their inner dialogue is now, but I don't want to come across as vain or anything. But I feel much better, much more at ease when I go into a restaurant now. So that's a good feeling. But I have to share with you my favorite NSV of the week. My mom took Michael and me to J. Alexander's, that same restaurant where I had the humiliating experience, for my birthday dinner. And guess who sat in the booth and had 5 inches between the table and their stomach? I even tried taking a picture, but it was so dim in there I couldn't. It didn't turn out. But really, there was like 5 inches between me and the table. I loved it. I didn't even care about the meal at that point, because I was just feeling so good. It felt awesome. So this Friday I'm going to have a full day of NSVs to report back to you, because this is going to be the first time in well over a decade that I am going to go to Kings Island. That's an amusement park not far from Dayton, and I'm going to ride every damn roller coaster I can. I absolutely love roller coasters, and for so many years I've shied away from even attempting to ride one at my larger size, because I didn't want to be that person I didn't want to be the guy that was told, sorry sir, you're too large for this ride. That's not going to be an issue this time, so I'm so looking forward to that. That's pretty much it. That's all I've got for this week. I hope I wish everybody who is having their surgery or who has recently had the surgery the best of luck. You are in for such a life-changing experience, and I've always said this. If I had the opportunity to, I would do it again, but I won't have to, obviously, because this is going to be forever. But remember, nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. Hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye.